Greetings, everybody! Welcome once more to the Dracovin Empire. Are you ready to dive back into the desert world of Athas, the setting for the Dark Sun role-playing game? If you are ready to taste the sands, ready to face death and dehydration, join me, your host and guide here, Athas and Campaign, as I outreach my hand and open up a gateway, a portal to Athas, to explore, to learn about. Please do remember to give me a little bit of tip before we go. Like the video on the YouTube side of things. And of course let me know your experience with what we explore today. The ruins of Yaramuke. A place that has adventures and history deeply connected to it. An ancient city-state. Now dead. Let us go. Athas calls. The deserts embrace us. Ruins emerge. Yes, we are outside Yaramuke. Now, Yaramuke is an interesting city. But if you really want to dive into it, our best source for the most amount of information, it's not the only one that I'm using, but is the primary one that I would recommend, especially if you're going to do adventures in it, is, of course, the Black Flames Adventure Box. The Black Flames Adventure Box is, in a way, also about Yaramuke. It deals with exploring the ancient city, finding secret stuff left over there, ancient ruins in it, but it does take you from Ram to explore them, to enter into the ancient ruins. This isn't a second edition adventure, may I note, so we will talk about why it is important to talk about that, I guess now. So, Yaramuke is one of those cities that we have a little bit out of it from 4th edition, but we don't really dive deep into. It's briefly mentioned in places in 4th edition, but really one is dived into is 2nd edition. Why is this important? Because certain places in 4th edition are when it comes to 4th edition, places are explored deeper than they were in 2nd edition, especially in early 2nd edition. We didn't find exploration, since this is a 93 adventure module, may I note, so very early on Dark Sun module, if we compare all the different time zones of them. So, in the earlier ages of at least Dark Sun and a lot of adventures in D&D, in AD&D during that time, I should really say, when it was under TSR, they basically kept things very loose, so DMs could interpret them as deep as they wanted to. They provided a kind of loose kind of set of rules for what was going on in a place, and DMs would then interpret them and build them on their own. This is kind of a different direction than we have nowadays. This is an important kind of note for nowadays. Either we are kind of encouraging people to make their complete own worlds, or just use the world that establishes it. And they do establish a set of pretty deep guidelines. It's not that you can't deviate from those guidelines, but a pre-established world, they are actually pre-establishing in a lot of ways. So what we have on a lot of Yaramuke is the fact that there is less established in it in a lot of ways. A lot more loose establishments. So there is a lot of questions about it. The city of Blackwaters, as it was known as it is known as, the Sundered City, is explored in Black. And it is the one that I would say, if you're going to get the most out of exploring it, this is the book you have. It's not the only one, but this is where you're going to get the most of it. Let's begin. Let's explore. Yaramuke. This is the Sorcerer-King. Sielba's palace, as it was displayed in Yaramuke. It's known as the City of Blackwaters, the Sundered City, an ancient place, a ruined place. Basically, Sielba dared vie with Hamanu for supremacy in the north, and the line of Uruk leveled it to the ground. This is the history that we know of, that the once wealthy and powerful city-state of Yaramuke was reduced to nothing, a ruin along the Road of Kings. A place that was once Ram's neighbor, occasional ally. A trade location, a strategic location, now lost. The city, in its original history, dated back to ancient ages, when Emperor Kadrian Firehand originally was said to have founded it. It was carved from the barren wilderness and thrived around a great oasis. When Sielba came to Sielba. I'm going to get her name correct one of these times. I don't know which one it is. It's Sielba. Sielba. We'll go for Sielba. Sielba. We'll go for Sielba. Sielba sounds good. It's close enough. Anyway, it did prosper. It did become important in the politics in the entire Tyr region, one of the most important areas along the Road of Kings. Sielba was a tyrant, just as much as any of the other Sorcerer-Kings in Greece. She ruled from an ornate palace, oversaw a flourishing city, and supported the trade caravans that brought her wealth to her domain. What led to its destruction was the conflict with Uruk and with Hamanu. Basically, the tensions were always there, but escalated when there was a city in quarries and Smoking Crown. Sielba wanted those quarries. They saw their value, and so she sent prospectors to establish new quarries in there. Hamanu killed them all, and sent back their severed heads to Yaramuke as a warning. Sielba dispatched her army of new slaves to seize the mines. Hamanu's imperial guard killed them. Sielba conspired with many major merchant houses to basically have trade embargoes, raise prices, to damage the economy in Uruk, to see it fall, and basically get the resources there. Hamanu understood and discovered the schemes, and enacted. And so, open war came. This conflict became war and the destruction of Yaramuke. Hamanu was enraged. He marched an army north. He moved slow, as if to contempt for his opponent. A month-long march. The city was well defended, portable walls, thousands of warriors. But he didn't lay a siege. He had climbed to the highest hill and incanted magic. Powerful magic. Life, animals, plants for miles around were devastated. His defiling magic was powerful. Immense. The city's walls shattered. Defenders slaughtered. The city reigned with fiery death. The cataclysm that was so intense. Many of the Urkrite soldiers, the soldiers of Hamanu, were not spared by this. They too were slaughtered in mass alongside it. The magic so great that Hamanu used. When it subsided, Yaramuke was rubble. The races cursed and poisoned. The lands defiled and barren for all time. The city was destroyed, but it was not sacked. To avoid the wrath of the dragon, of warriors, for killing Hamanu in this attack. A tribute of Yaramuke's riches, which they would easily get, were basically sent to the dragon. Prevent further retribution. Let us talk of Sielba. So, also sometimes called the Empress of Yaramuke, perhaps that's what she wanted to be called. She was the destroyer of the Paterans, the seventh champion of Rajat. Her death is said to be in 4Y minus 1741. She was unsuccessful at exterminating the Paterans during the Cleansing Wars, but she did reduce their population very significantly. She was also a gifted alchemist. Having helped Boreas and Bridget Rajat, she got her queen. She was ambitious, beautiful, but it was that ambition that led her to a rivalry with Hamanu and her downfall. In her early reign, we can see the great ornate palace that I showed in the previous picture, the wealth that she had, the thriving city, the great oasis. She was beautiful, talented, powerful alchemist, a well-furnished laboratory, many sacred and rare scrolls. And she was also a tyrant. She was the fourth city-state along the Road of Kings, and had considerable wealth. And then came the battle with, of course, Hamanu. So, the ritual that destroyed it did not kill Sielba. And there's 167th King's Age. The year of Val's agitation, free year, negative 1741. army was destroyed. And the fact is, Manu is said to have, after this display of magic, personally slowed Sielba, ending her reign in life. Theoretically. Now, there are some books and materials that are online that deal with some more of the legacy other than the book that I've talked about, the Black Flames book, box set. Because in other places, the Wanderer's Chronicle, the 4th edition book does mention it, 2nd edition box set, the 3.5 Dark Sun information, which was technically third party, I believe. There's a lot of little things that do talk about and mention what happened here. But there is also some material that is left over from TSR back in the timeline. There's a number of people that have been doing some writing based upon these things. They've been taking these outlines and little bits of material and putting together information online. So I'm going to say there is some adventures that deal with the possible attempts at resurrecting Sielba, that her soul may still remain out there. But again, how much of this is leftover material from TSR that a number of people got hold of, basically within the last decade, or how much of it is based upon some stuff they had written and just writing your own stuff, I don't know. And it's a fine line that's harder to detail unless you talk to these people directly. So I'm just saying that there is some possibilities for adventures beyond the ones that are officially written based on information originally from TSR. Stuff that was being worked on at around the time it closed and sold off everything. Again, these are incomplete notes, they're drafts, maybe they weren't going to do anything with this, maybe they were. These are questions that we cannot answer at this time. We can talk about it. What is the legacy of Yaramuke? It's ruins now. There are things left over like these great barracks of Yaramuke. They can be explored. They are buried in the dust and sand and remains. Even the great palace still remains in a lot of it. It's the ornamental heart of the rule. It's opulence. It's buried beneath the sands. It contains the Eye of the Earth, an artifact held in the Temple of Earth's Wonders, linked to Sielba's reign. The great Templars that once served as her personal bodyguard, they were unprepared, slaughtered, skeletons charred in their beds. There was once great obsidian golems that were protected from the other Sorcerer-Kings. Of course, they were unfortunately misprogrammed that they only would have activated if 2 dragons entered the palace simultaneously. These were also destabilized key structural pillars, and it caused the palace to collapse in a few minutes after their activation. So it was a way that you'd activate the golems to have the palace collapse in on itself, killing the 2 ones inside, 2 dragons inside, or theoretically supposed to be 1 dragon, there's 2 really though. So now scattered bits of stone, statues, little bits on the horizon are all that once remains in this great city. Much of it is now just below the sand, buried, gone, like the palace, like the barracks. The palace itself could be explored. Go check out the Black Flame book. You see exploring the palace and finding some of the ruins and discovering stuff in there and going through an adventure that deals with diving deep into the ruins and what remains there. The place is hard to evacuate. It's dangerous. It's cursed. It's destroyed. It's never sacked, though. Many secrets, many reaches remain. Perhaps some of Sielba's wealth was taken by Manu when he was attacked, but so much of it was probably lost to the sands and to the attack itself, and to everything that was buried. So perhaps you, as an adventurer, could forego common sense and plunge into the devastated city, the cursed land itself, to discover what remains there. But well. But there you go. Yaramuke. I think I talked about this a little bit in one of my previous videos, and I wanted to dive into it deeper because it is an ancient city-state. And as we can see, there is stuff based upon it that we know about. Sielba is dead. Yes. But like many of the Sorcerer-Kings and Queens, even if they're dead, they're maybe not dead, per se, possibly. It's one of those things is being powerful sorcerers, defilers that are on their way to becoming dragons and evolve into powerful dragon beasts means that, you know, you're not as easy to kill as it seems. And perhaps her soul does remain somewhere trapped, somewhere remaining, that could be resurrected. Check out that storyline. If you want to go check out an adventure that deals with it, it exists online. But on the other hand, it might not be true. There might be nothing. The only official book that talks about what remains there, what remains in the ruins, is Black Flames. There are other books that mention Yaramuke and talk a little bit about it and its fall. But that's really the only one that dives into the actual ruins themselves. And even then, it does not give a full picture of the ruins, because again, it's second edition, early second edition, where they're giving you just enough to run it, build the rest yourself. We don't know the culture. We don't know the people. We don't know it. The official art that I found, which is kind of official art, I do not know exactly where the original art of Sielba came from. It is on the one Dark Sun wiki. Again, this is me relying on the wiki for art a lot of times. You need to in a lot of ways. But it does not mean there might not be more out there. More information, more little lore places. The fact is that we only have a little bit and pieces of this land, and what happened to it, and all the interesting information about it. A lot is lost, and the kingdom is lost. So, yeah. It's another lost city, another destroyed city, and another time, place that is gone. Sorcerer-Queen is dead, the city is gone and defiled, but as a mark of the defilement, the power of the Sorcerer-Kings. And that is Yaramuke. An interesting place to have maybe adventures if you just want to go exploring tombs and destroyed places in Athas. Well, that'll be it for today. If you want to check out more of my stuff, you can always check it out on either Twitch or YouTube side of things, where I upload all my tabletop stuff, whether it's streamed or recorded. That's where everything ends up. Though on Twitch stream, that's where I do a lot of my recordings and put up a lot of my stuff, so you can see me live, join the conversation, either before or after the videos. I do other things like live plays. My archive is, of course, up on YouTube, but my current ones that you can catch live on Twitch are Fall of Avenswell, Wednesdays at 8. And, of course, I have Discussing Tabletop Saturdays at 6, my talk show, kind of podcasty thing that, dives deep into interesting topics of the tabletop world, along with the news for the week. I recommend checking all that out. Checking out my social media for updates on my time schedule for when I'm live on Twitch, when I'm doing other stuff, and also when things go uploaded onto YouTube. Most days of the week you'll get an upload on YouTube for Tuesdays through Saturdays if you want to check out the days I tend to be live over on Twitch side of things. Thank you for joining me again. Until the next time we dive into Athas, something else related to Dark Sun, or another world of D&D or tabletop in general, I bid all of you out there, a deep and wonderful farewell.